That her music.
That's her music. She coming today?
Recorded. Hi, everybody. This is Angela Todd, and welcome to the Yayo Show. And I am so excited. I got a special guest for y'all today, Martina Wilson. Hey, everybody, give her a hi, Martina.
Hey,
baby.
What's going on, cousin?
How are you today?
I'm good, beautiful. How are you?
Good. I am so happy you are able to join me today.
Sure.
Because I'm doing this new podcasting and I'm trying to take it to a different level and a little bit something different than what every day that we do, but something that's more important, especially from the community of Flint and the African American community, and just in the, the economic, community, like just getting to the bag, you know what I mean? And I've been seeing your posts and just seeing some of the things that you just been making it happen, and you always there for the family when we need questions and concerning real estate, mortgages, and stuff like that. So go ahead and tell my following a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
For sure. I'll get to me first. I want to say, man, I am so proud of you. I've been watching the show. I've been following the content, man. I didn't know that you were even into journalism. I'm like, you add to your resume every time I see you with something, you know what I mean? So I know you from the music and the sales and just everything that you've been doing. So, man, I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you. I love the content. Ad journalism, I think, is huge and important, especially for our community right now. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for inviting me. And so.
All righty. Thank you. You just made me want to water up a little bit, but
I'm proud of it because I know where we from. You know what I mean? So I know where we from. So I know how important it is. I know how much it took. You know what I'm saying? So it take a lot. It's not I think sometimes people feel like it's you just show up one day and it's what it is, and it's a lot that went into it. So respect. And you my cousin, so I'm even more proud. That's my thing.
You know how our family do. We go hard or go home, though, too.
Sure, man. There's no other choice. So
we go hard or go home. Well, what I wanted to go ahead and touch bases with you about is one of the main questions even I get, because a lot of friends of mine, learning to buy houses, I'm into more in the investment part. But a lot of people ask me, is the time to buy or wait until the rates drop? Because interest rates is a big concern.
Right. So I want to answer that in two parts. First part is the straightforward answer. It's now the best time to buy. If you don't own a house already, it's always the right time to buy, because what's the interest rate on rent? You know what I mean? So So the thing about it is, if you don't already own something, ownership is key to a lot of things, right? So if you don't own, yes, it's a good time to buy. And even if you already do, it depends on what kind of interest rate you leave in and what it's a personal finance question, I guess. Right. So if you right now you into a lower interest rate right now with the rates being a little bit higher, it may not make financial sense for you to get out of that one into something different. However, with that being said, you got to look at the cost of the houses, right? So the price of the houses is also something that you have to take into consideration, and that's not going down for any foreseeable future that I can see. Any indicators that I know and I'm aware of that we look at, it doesn't appear that that's going to be going down. And what's also important to know is that a lot of things are being held at a certain level so that they don't come down. So whereas before you would have saw housing, the natural wave and the natural cycle of real estate going up and down, now it's things not even being allowed to come down because it's being artificially held up for big hedge funds, and it's a whole lot that goes into that. So I think the first part of the answer is, if you don't own something, yes. If you do own something, it depends. But I think I get a lot of those questions too, because I do mortgage. Right. The bigger thing I think that we need to talk about as a community is even bigger than rates. It's more about the ownership piece. It's more about the priorities. It's more about the generational wealth is a term that everybody is using now, but it's kind of like, what are we leaving for our families?
Right.
So when you're looking at it from a short-term perspective and you're saying, okay, well, now rates is high, I'm gonna wait and see if they go down. What if they never go down? If they do go down, that's fine. We can refinance you when they go down into a lower rate. We talked about this the other day. Marry the house and date the rate. You know what I'm saying? So you're not locked into that interest rate, but you got to get in the game somewhere. And I think a lot of times we allow fear to keep us on the sidelines and keep us from getting in the game at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're so scared that you're going to get in at the wrong time, or you're afraid that you're going to pay too much, or whatever the case is. But if you look at, I did something before to prepare for the show. I looked up to see historically what was the highest that rates had been. Back in 81, the rates were like 16.5%.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember?
Yeah.
So 16.
I remember my parents talking about it at that time.
Right. So you're talking about in 81, the rates were 16.5%. So what if the people that didn't in 81 didn't buy, right? So houses might have been 50,000 back then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What is that house that somebody bought in 81? What is that worth now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, more.
You don't know. It depends. You know what I'm saying? I know people that bought in Cali for 75,000, 100,000, and those houses worth $1 million now.
Right.
So it depends on what you not it depends. It's important to look at the long term and what you're doing it for. So if you buy something in 2000, when I first got to Dallas, my first house was like 120,000, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. You can't find nothing in Dallas right now for 100,000.
Right. You can't. It ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta get in the game somewhere, and we gotta have something that we can leave to our children, our children's children. We gotta be thinking way longer term than what we're thinking now. So that I definitely want to touch on that. We can have more of a conversation about that too.
Okay, well, we can keep that going. But it is a good outlet, to think about that. You know what I'm saying? And just really thinking like, what are we leaving for our children and our grandchildren? Because it was funny. I was looking at a video of my sister granddaughter, Malika, and she was playing in the yard. And I said, this is an amazing thing my dad did. He built the house, and now he's been gone since I was 19, but his great grandchildren is enjoying the fruit of his labor.
Exactly.
He's gone, but his great grandchildren is in the yard having themselves a ball of something that he created and built from the ground up. You know what I mean? So I exactly understand.
And y'all keeping that going. So, you know what I'm saying? You invest in, Neva invest in it. I don't know what JJ them doing, but it's kind of like y'all are keeping that going and continuing to build off of what he built. You know what I'm saying? So he built it and started it, and then y'all keep that going. So it's like you said, it's his grandchildren, his great grandchildren continuing to, you know what I mean, enjoy the things that he started. So it's kind of like, what do a lot of us don't have that same story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in our community, somebody died. It's like we raising money to have
families. Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We barely getting the funeral done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, okay, now we got the funeral done. Now what's left to the kids? You know what I mean? And it's not that people not touching money. You know what I'm saying? It's not that in our community is people not touching money. They touching it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But what's happening with it? I talk to people all the time. It's like, and I don't know personally what somebody's resources is, but I can see it's signs. You know what I'm saying? It's signs that there's resources available, but it's like they're not being allocated properly.
Right.
So it's also important to talk about that. I want to make sure that before we leave, I want to talk about, I said some books over here too that I want to touch on and give people some recommendations on some books to just go into, just not even about mortgage, but mindset. Because it all goes back to mindset too.
It goes back to mindset. Exactly. Yeah. And one thing, since we were talking about generational wealth, one thing I did want to touch bases on you with is rental property versus flipping. You got a lot of people like, well, I want to get into flipping. I'm more of a long-term. Once I get the real estate, I don't want to sell.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather rent it out and just keep holding on to it and just let the rent keep doing it. But I kind of want to touch bases because with interest rates being high, people say, oh, you need to buy this and you need to buy that. But I'm trying to do the math like, well, the mortgage is this and the rent is this now. Like, let's make it make sense. Which one do you like recommending to people when you get into that part of the investment part?
I personally like long-term buy and hold is what they call it. So rental, buy and hold, long-term rental. I was dabbling with flipping. I hated flipping. I hate it. Do not reboo. I don't like it.
What did you didn't like about it? Tell me. What was your experience?
Let's just start at the start. Dealing with contractors. So right now, and I've been in investment. I've been in real estate since I was 19. I started. I bought my first house when I was 19.
Okay.
So with that said, I've had a long run and experience. I'm 47. So however many years that is, 18, 20 years, whatever. I had a long run with understanding. No, that's 28. Oh, my math.
It's okay.
So having a lot of experience with contractors and stuff like that, it's like nowadays people don't work the way they used to. It seemed like it's a lot more cutthroat out here than it used to be. And I don't know if it's just the people that I've been running into, but it's just not really something you have to really spend a lot of time with it.
Right.
I don't like something that I have to sit and babysit. You know what I mean? I love to travel. I'm always doing 5 or 6 different things. So for me, I don't want something that I got to sit here and bird dog. With rental properties, you buy it. Once you buy it, you vet your tenants and get your tenants in there. And it's pretty much just if they call you, you need something or whatever, but they pretty much operate and run themselves.
Okay.
With flipping, I would say you pretty much need to be over there every day.
Right.
Because you need to be watching these.
They will be milking the job and all that.
I mean, I'm talking about from just the materials that they putting in, the quality of the work that they're doing. And then when you go back and talk about the numbers, when you looking at the numbers, like you said, right now with rates the way that they are, you got to make sure that you're buying so low that when you go in and do your renovations and your rehabbing, that once you get your long-term financing put in place, that it makes sense that, you know, you can rent it out for more than what the mortgage is so that it makes financial sense.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because how it goes is you go in, you acquire a property. So you either going to pay cash for the property or you're going to get a acquisition loan, basically, that includes the repairs in it.
Right.
So you're going to do that. That's going to be short term. So that may be 6 months probably. Once the renovation and repairs is done, then you're going to transition it into long-term financing, which is usually going to be 30-year financing. So you got to make sure that 30-year note is less than what the market rent is for that house.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's not less, do it still make sense to do it? Or
I mean, it just depends. Sometimes for me, I would never want a mortgage that was more than what I can rent it for.
Right.
But I know some people that have done it, you know, they like, okay, well, if it's only $100, basically I'm putting $100 with somebody else's $2,000 or whatever. Right. So now I'm only paying $100 to gain control of this asset. You know what I'm saying? So it's a long game strategy too. You know
it's
what I mean?
Long game.
Or you flipping it, getting in, renovating it, and turning around and selling it, so you getting your money in chunks. So that was why I did it. I was looking at it from a perspective of, okay, I'm gonna get in, get some money in chunks. You buy it low, you buy it for like 75% of what it's worth. You buy it for less than that, but by the time you fix it up, you want it 75% of what it's worth so that you can sell it, and make that money out of it. And then
money won't be so tied up and tied into it and stuff like that. But a lot of people, with the rent economy going, let me get it. Hold on. With the economy going, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Going, a lot of people is just saying with rent, interest rate, it's better to rent right now. You don't agree because we were saying that earlier. You know what I mean? Like if you I'm gonna use my house here in Las Vegas, for instance. I can rent it out for 26, but to buy it,
right,
it's gonna cost almost what 32, 34.
Right.
You know, 100 a month, you know. So a lot of people is just renting right now, waiting on the waiting game instead of taking that $500-$600 loss. You know what I mean?
But is it a loss though? That's what I'm saying. Is to me, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, it's never a loss, because even if who knows when rates gonna go down?
Okay.
So how long you gonna sit on the sideline and wait?
Okay.
You know what I mean? What if you look at, when I was looking at those historical rates, I think in 81 it was up to 16%, and it didn't come down to under 10% till like it was like 15 years later.
2003,
Something like
wasn't it?
that.
Something like that when I was in
It
Atlanta.
got under 10%.
It was
So
like
I'm saying,
8%.
yeah. So yeah, because when I bought, like I said, I bought when I was 19. So that was 96. Rates was like 7.5, I think.
Right.
At that time. So it's like, what if you sitting around and waiting for what you waiting for? And what's gonna be your time to jump in? Because what you also have to understand is it's a lot of other people that's thinking like you. Right. So they sitting around waiting too. You know what I mean? So now these people all sitting on the sidelines. Everybody's sitting waiting.
Right.
Now they all gonna jump in at the same time. What you think the price is gonna do? They're gonna shoot up.
Right.
The price is gonna shoot up. It's gonna be, I remember, and you remember this during COVID. During COVID, so when COVID hit, we were all like, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Nobody knew what was gonna happen. And I was like, what if people stop buying houses, whatever? Man, it did the complete opposite. People went nuts buying houses, right? So they started buying, and it was going crazy. It was like we were getting contracts in. The people had the house listed for one price. People was buying them for $20,000 and $30,000 over what the house was bidding. It was a bidding war. They were bidding on houses before they ever even saw the house. You see what I'm saying? So people were going and they would just see it online, bid on it, get it under contract, and then during their option period, then if they decided that they didn't want it, they would get out of it and lose $100, $200. But my point is, when the rates go down, the price is going to shoot back up.
Back.
So now what you could have paid this year, you could have paid $300 for it. Now you're going to wait. Oh, well, the rates is down, but now you're paying $400 for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like, and I was talking to a couple. I did an open house last week. I was talking to this couple, and they were looking to buy because when the houses shot up, like the house that I'm in now, I bought it in 2019, right before COVID. My house went up so much in like 2 years. I was able to remove my PMI and everything off of it, like get to the 20% equity into the house from 5% up to the 20%. So I built 15 to 20% worth of equity in like 2 years in the house, just from the value going up, from the market prices going up, right? So in those 2 years, what do you think would have happened, and what do you think is happening now with people that's sitting on the sideline and waiting? You know what I mean? So you gotta be smart. You gotta think past you gotta think past the headlines, I'm gonna say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You gotta think past the headlines.
Yeah, it's like we don't, I feel like for us, a lot of times we don't really strategize. Like, we just so impulsive and so, you know what I mean? We just react to everything. Any way the wind is moving, we just, you know what I mean? And I feel like we have to start thinking past, not all of us, but a lot of us do. A lot of us.
Well, since we were talking about real estate and investment, I got a question for you for the people that's trying to get into real estate. Now, I'll be honest with you, because I didn't tell you, but I was so disappointed. I failed my exam 3 times.
Did you?
Yes, because I didn't want you to know, but I'm going to go ahead and just put it out here.
Hey, this is the Yayo Show. We honest on here.
Let's go ahead. We're going to keep it real on the Yayo Show. But shoot, you know what? I say it like this. I tried. Yep. Okay. Yeah. But a lot of people say, why are you trying to sell the real estate? You in a different position than some people, be an investor or take it. You know what I mean? But then now that I didn't pass, it's a new law coming out. It started in July, where the buyers have to pay the commission now. How do you think that's going to affect real estate?
But this is the thing. It's always been negotiable. That has always been negotiable. It was just kind of like an unspoken rule that everybody was having. The sellers, it was understood that the sellers paid 6%, 3 went to the buyer's agent, 3 went to their agent. Okay. But that's always been negotiable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now it just has to be negotiated. It has to be clearly stated. And now, since it's become a negotiation and a big issue now,
okay,
Now you have it to where the buyers and the sellers have to agree going into contract who's going to pay the agents, right?
Okay.
I personally think a lot of the sellers are going to continue to pay both agents commissions.
Right.
Because here's a couple things you got to run into. You're going to run into. One, you're going to have, if I'm selling my house and I have my house listed for sale and the buyer's agents, it says that I'm not paying the buyer's agents commissions.
Right.
How many agents do you think are going to be running people to my house to show them my house? It's not going to be a lot because they, you know what I'm saying? They want to get paid. Right. So they're not going to be in a hurry to come and show somebody the house that I'm selling, knowing that I'm not paying their commission.
Right.
That's one thing.
That's one thing.
Second thing is when you got these people that's out here buying, affordability is a real issue. People being able to come up with down payments and money is a real issue. You know what I mean? Like I some of my colleagues like, well, why are you always talking about down payment assistance and why are you always talking about stuff like that? Because you know Dallas is affluential people around here, so it's kind of like, well, why don't you market to those people? For me, it's like I'm gonna market to everybody. That's right. But more importantly, I recognize that it's a lot of people that feel like they have to have a lot of money to buy a house when it's just not true. That's just not the case. You know what I mean? If you can come up with your 1% earnest money and you can come up with your inspection and your appraisal, we can get you down payment assistance. Sellers can pay your closing costs. You know, if that's negotiated, all of that can be taken care of. So if you're trying to buy a $200,000 house, as long as you got about $3,000, you can buy a house.
You can buy.
Yeah, you can buy a house. So for me, it's like the affordability piece and all of that is critical. But if you're working with people that only have just enough to buy the house and just enough to pay, you know, the closing costs, the traditional closing costs, where y'all think they're gonna get this extra 3% to pay the buyer's agents? Right. So if their negotiation is for them to pay the 3%, for them to pay the agents commissions, now you're gonna limit the number of buyers that you have. You're gonna limit the number of agents, buyers agents that's gonna actually show these sellers houses. So you're gonna run into a real situation. You know what I'm saying? And it would impact the whole market. And I don't think that that's gonna happen. I think everybody is gonna jump in and figure it out, even us as lenders. You know what I'm saying? I think we all gonna be jumping in and figuring out how to help and contribute to the closing costs.
Okay. Yeah. But that makes sense. And even as a lender, make sure you tell everybody where they can get in touch with you. Okay. And I'm gonna put it down on a link on my YouTube page also.
Yeah, I should have put it in my thing.
Sure. If you guys have any questions, please, everybody.
Sure.
I recommend. I'm telling you, I recommend. A lot of people ask me, hey, who do you recommend? Or, you know, that's moving to Texas. Hey, Martina, now with you doing mortgages too, are you licensed for different other states like Michigan, Nevada?
I am. So right now I'm only licensed in Texas and Florida.
Okay.
I am working on Tennessee and Virginia. So I got some real estate relationships in those states.
Right.
So I was waiting on you. I was trying to see what we was gonna do in Nevada, but
you come on.
Yeah, you know, don't threaten me with a good time. Now you know I'll be on my way.
I threaten you with a good time.
But I'm licensed in other states. But you know, if I build relationships, real estate relationships in other states, I'm willing to get licensed anywhere.
Right. And get the license.
Give me a reason.
Another thing with the down payment assistance programs, it is a lot of different down payment assistance programs. But let's just keep it real for the followers, for the new, you know what I mean? For the new people. I'm asking you, I'm not the expert, you are. Sometimes is it when you get, because nothing is always for free. So you get the down payment assistance, isn't it where you might hit it where the rate gets up a little higher though? You know what I mean? But not something unbearable is what I'm saying.
Right. So it's no such thing as free money. Is basically
that's what I'm saying.
It's no such thing as free money. So I think, I know it's not, I think. Rates are a little bit higher versus you bringing your own money. So I always tell people you're going to either pay coming or you're going to pay on the back, but you're going to pay. right?
Okay.
So
Right.
because you're being given, let's just say, one of the programs that we have here in Texas, they'll give you anywhere from 2% up to 5% of your purchase price. So let's just do some
Okay.
general math. Down here, probably the average purchase price is at least 300,000 or 400,000.
Okay.
So let's just say if you buying a house for 300,000 and the down payment assistance is giving you 5%, $15,000, right? So they gave you $15,000 that you don't have to pay back. So right now you can either get a grant or you can get a silent second lien, meaning that it's a second lien that's on the house for like 3 years. You don't have to pay it back unless you sell the house or refinance within that first 3 years. So
Okay.
basically, for that 3 years, you know, long as you finish that 3 years, you don't have to pay it back. So
Okay.
somebody just gave you $15,000. So you paying a little bit more in interest. Let's just say if your interest rate is 0.25% higher. I'm just pulling numbers out the air.
Okay.
0.25% higher. Maybe your house note is now $60 more than it normally would have been, right?
Okay.
So you might be paying $60 more a month for those 36 months, but they just gave you $15,000. You
$1,000.
see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
still winning. You know
You
what I mean?
still won.
And they gave you $15,000 that you didn't have. So had they not given you that $15,000, you wouldn't have bought a house in 2024. It might have took you a year or 2 years to come up with the $15,000.
Right.
So now that cost of ownership or the time, the cost that you lost in the time of what that house is worth in 2024 versus what it's worth in 2027, you got to factor that in too. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at mortgages and buying houses. It's a long game. You know what I mean? And you don't always win. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't always win, especially with investing. You know that. Right. With investing, you don't always win. You go in, like I said, with flipping. I had the absolute worst experience with flipping. Like, I do not recommend, because of the experience that I had with just the whole process to me.
Right.
So, but let me share this book. This book right here.
That's what I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
You were telling me about some self-motivating book. What book is that?
I can't. How do I?
Right there. Say right there.
Okay. Your money or your life.
Okay.
This book right here is a really, really good one. I want to share these. This one is another one that I pulled out for the readers.
I will teach you
to be rich.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one. And then this last one I wanted to share with your people. And I don't have no endorsements, and I don't even know these people.
Okay.
My Money, My Way.
Okay.
These three. These are, I think they real quick and easy reads, but what they talk about is just the principles of understanding just the basics of money and how you look at it, right?
Right.
And so if you're looking at it, the one that Your Money or Your Life, that one talks about the amount of time and the amount of hours that you get overall in this life. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at us, we in our 40s, late 40s, 50, whatever, you look at the life expectancy of somebody our age, right? And you look to see, okay, the life expectancy of somebody our age, how many more hours? They break it down by hours, not years. Wow. How many more hours do you have of life, period? And then you take sleeping, eating, showering, all of the basic stuff, right? You take all of those hours and you take those out. So now when you break it down, you kind of like, I only got like so many thousand hours left. You know what I mean? So how much of those hours do I want to spend grinding and working and hustling and doing, you know what I'm saying, all of the things. So now when you making decisions about spending money, you need to be looking at it more from a perspective of how can I make this money work versus me working for the money.
Right.
You
turnkey income. Right. Turnkey.
Because I don't want to continue to spend all of these hours because I only got this many hours left.
You only got this many hours. So you want to make money in your sleep, people.
Yeah.
What you said. When you go to sleep, you want to still be making money.
Making money. And you got to make your money work for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that I think a lot of us miss. I was never taught that. You know, my daddy, my people it was a lot going on.
Yeah. and we were also taught just save. They never even taught us about investment. You know, well,
I wasn't even taught that. You know what I mean? Like
my dad was just save, just save. Right. You know what I mean? But you still got to learn to invest these savings. You know
Yeah,
what I
because you
mean?
can't
So,
save your way to wealth. You can't save your way to wealth. Like you can invest your way to wealth. You know what I'm saying? You can save and put it into some investment vehicle and let that grow. You can put some
right,
money into the S&P 500 and let it ride. You
right,
know what I mean? And you save that way, but just putting some money and saving it, that inflation is going to deteriorate the value of that money. You know what I mean?
right.
And if you don't understand the principles of that, you already out the game.
You already out the game.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And a lot of us, I feel like we get so caught up in what things look like. You know what I'm saying? I talk to people now and they kind of like, well, the houses now, you know, what you can get. And I don't want to live in nothing like that. And when I first got here, I bought a duplex out in Fort Worth. That duplex was, I don't even know, 100 and something thousand. But I lived in one side of it. This when Christopher was real little. I lived in one side of it and rented the other side out. And it wasn't the greatest of neighborhoods, right? But the whole key to it was, and that's called house hacking, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back to, I know I'll be all over the place.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. I like it. Go ahead. I didn't say it was a perfect. I said it's a show.
Okay. You talked about how can people get into it without having a lot of money?
Okay.
How can people get into investing? I think the best way and the way that I recommend to anybody is called house hacking.
Okay.
And what house hacking is basically you buy a multifamily property and you live in one side of it.
Okay.
So a duplex, a triplex, a quad. So you can buy, and if anybody take notes, if you can buy up to 4-unit properties as a residential mortgage, as long as you live in 1 unit.
Right.
And how that's important is because on a residential property, the down payment is lower. So on a conventional loan versus and a FHA loan, you have to live in it. A VA loan, you have to live in it.
You have to live in it.
Yeah, but in a conventional loan, you could put a lower down payment versus putting like 20% down or 15% down as an investment property. So you can go in it, basically, you can use a down payment assistance type program because it is your primary residence, right? And now you can move into this property for, you know, the same amount of money that it would have been for you to get a single family, but now you got the other units rented out, helping you, or sometimes paying all of the mortgage.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think, and then what happens is when you get ready to move out of that house, now you take that house, turn that in the whole thing into a rental property and move into another one as a primary residence. Now we can give you credit for 75% of the rent that you're getting out of that house to take care of that mortgage, right? Okay. And then you just, you know what I'm saying? You just keep going.
Right. So, and that goes the same, not even if you did it with the duplex or triplex. Like in my situation, I don't like commuting. So I want to go back to the other side of town.
Right.
But I have a lot of equity, so I don't want to give it up.
Right.
So just go ahead and rent this out.
Yep.
And let this house buy me a new one.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's how you do it. And that's how it works. You know what I mean? Right. And so you just basically you house hacking and you continue to build and build and build from there.
Now, and another thing with the first time buyer program, isn't it true? I'm asking you because I'm not the expert.
Yeah.
If I don't have a loan but just have a HELOC, will I still qualify for the first time home program or any of that, or I'm still considered?
No, because technically the way you are considered a first time home buyer is if you have not had ownership in a residence for at least 3 years. So if you haven't had ownership in a property in 3 years, it's not if you haven't had a mortgage, it's if you haven't had ownership in a property in 3 years. So you would have basically had to have sold your house, been out of your house and renting for 3 years before you would technically be a first time home buyer again. Okay. But however, some of the down payment assistance programs, you don't have to be a first time home buyer.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Some of the programs
qualifications.
Yeah. Some of the programs you qualify for, you don't have to be a first time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it just depends on the program.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Yeah. Well, anything else would you like to touch base with? Because we hit our time. Okay. And I really appreciate you coming here today. I enjoyed talking with you and we learned a lot.
Good.
in 35 minutes. Like, dang, girl, I was expecting it to be longer, but you said what you said.
Good. No, I appreciate being here. And you know, if people want to reach me, you can reach me at mortgage_Martina on Instagram. I think Mortgage Martina on Facebook too. I don't know,
Okay.
but yeah.
And then we also have Martina Wilson on Facebook, or is that just?
That's my personal page. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, but it's fine. I mean, however, you know, listen, you want to buy a house, call me. I give out my phone number. They can call me.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming.
cousin.
I appreciate you so much. I had a ball, and we really learned a lot. And I need you to send me the links. I can put the links on my YouTube, so that way we will go ahead and just follow the description down there. And everybody, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.